Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's Ag Forecast brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions, your premier platform for real-time global insights. Well, yesterday we were treated to some really nice satellite imagery as the skies kind of cleared out here over the snowstorm that went through parts of the Ohio River Valley and then up into parts of the eastern Great Lake Basin. You can see the snow on the backside here in parts of Indiana melting away. In fact, there's a really nice lake effect snow band right in through this area. But we're talking right here along the south edge of Lake Erie, some places picking up better than 12 inches of snow. Same thing right in through this part of Ontario. And again, this is a very productive region right in through here for agriculture. So watching this satellite animation, I want to show you next what the snowfall totals look like. So this is our latest map updating the last 72 hours of total accumulation. So we can see broad sector in through here getting between 6 and 18 inches of snow right here on the south side of Lake Erie. We also had pushing up against the Appalachian Mountains in parts of West Virginia and Pennsylvania, and through here some heavier snowfall amounts, and even down here right along the border of parts of Tennessee and North Carolina, some heavy snows in through this region as well. Some of those snow showers made it clear down into Alabama and Georgia too. Now the second system that popped out right here did produce some very heavy snow locally in parts of Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas, specifically right in through here, where it's continuing to snow in the overnight hours early this morning. But if we just broaden out and take a look at that second system, it's going to struggle throughout the day today to maintain this structure. But still, as it slowly progresses, now this was yesterday, but as it slowly progresses to the east, we will continue to get some wraparound right here on the back side of this. Now, before I go much farther than this, I want to show you this map again. This is a map I showed in yesterday's long-range update, and it's got the latest data available to us on accumulated snowfall departure. So this is through yesterday, December the 2nd. So again, when you look down here, this is just more snow than this time normally, and this would be less. So a couple of things to point out in the western part of the United States. Look at the Sierra Nevada, the Klamath Mountains here, parts of the Central Rockies as well. North Dakota really been missed, while to our west, to our south, bigger systems rolled through back in November. But look at the lake effect area here. So coming off of Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Erie, Ontario, we just noticed that there's still deficits in these particular areas. And I'm going to talk about that in just a few seconds here, because I remember, go back to 2014, end of November. One of my most favorite animations I saved here off of the end of Buffalo. This is Lake Erie, Buffalo, New York. And just a few days here, 5 feet of snow from this very intense lake effect snow band. And I had to just toss in one of my favorite pictures from that event, because I just wonder what this guy was thinking here when he, woke up with all that snow, got the snow blower out. I was like, yeah, I got to clear this. Where are you going to put that snow? You're going to have to pull it in the garage first. Well, anyways, this was several years ago. This year, there's been deficit. Except for this, I got to show you something amazing. I told you there was a little bit of snow down in parts of Alabama and Georgia. Well, in this satellite animation, watch these clouds clear out and show you this lake right here. See it? Okay. We actually had almost perfect winds coming right across this lake, going across the long fetch of it like this, parallel to it. And as a result of that, going down to the radar back a couple days ago, we can see here on the 30th, this. See this in through here? This is actually lake effect snow coming off of that lake in Alabama. And watch the animation. You can see right into these little bursts of snow enhanced by the lake there in Alabama. I just thought you might get a kick out of seeing something like that. It's an amazing animation here. All right. Cold temperatures. Taking a look at yesterday morning's early morning lows, we do notice that we did get the freezing temperatures down to the Gulf Coast as we anticipated, and that freezing line did make it pretty far to the south in Florida as well. So this is just a quick snapshot at yesterday morning's lows. We'll talk more about those temperatures in a few moments. But getting to our all hazards weather map, we do have frost advisories out here again today. And if you look right here in the center part of the country in Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas, we still have winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories that surround it. There's going to be some stronger winds in there blowing around the snow that just fell. And remember, it's not quite done yet. I want to draw your attention to the west as well. Down in Southern California, very strong winds are anticipated. These are of the kind of the Santa Ana variety, and the fires that kicked up there last night, we expect those to spread today because of this. And air stagnation alerts here in parts of the Pacific Northwest. And the reason for that is this is the upper level flow pattern. Jet stream today, screaming across the Pacific, splits into that large ridge we've been talking about this week, and then comes back together over here and meets up with a bit of a subtropical component right into that area. One of the reasons why the storm system that was moving through the Central Plains today that brought the snow to parts of Oklahoma is going to be fading is this is really the wrong setup here. Look at how elongated this wave is with just a broad streak to the south of it. That's not going to support any, give upper level support for development here. But the atmosphere is really practicing avoidance right into this area, and that's why things are quite stagnant in there. Now, what'll be interesting is to see where this system ends up by the time we get to the end of the week. So let me fast forward a couple of days here, and now we're going to go out to the 5th. And we still see the same setup overall, right? See the jet stream just blocking up into a ridge there. But notice this. This jet streak is quite powerful, and it runs all the way up here just off the Carolina coast. The short wave, that was once the system over Oklahoma today, is now sitting right there. And that's going to be pretty sharp, and we're going to have great upper level support just here along the coast for low pressure development. So that'll be the first system we discuss, but I also want to keep an eye on this wave right in through here because it will be diving to the south behind that. And so if we kind of just step back and see how this all takes place, let's just go to our high resolution NAM and play it forward. So this was last night, getting into early this morning. So this was 5 a.m. Central Time. As we play this forward, again, like I told you, we'll still see the snow this morning, but this system's going to lose its upper level support. After putting a little bit of snow down here in the Ozarks with showers and storms to the south of it, watch what happens as I go through the day today. You notice the low disappears. There's just a broad area of moisture transport bringing in some rain from Louisiana, Mississippi up into this part of Tennessee. Well, as we go through the day on Thursday and then get out there into Friday, well, this is Friday midday, Friday afternoon, and Friday evening. Now, do you start to see the low reforming? This is when the wave deepens and the subtropical jet brings in that jet streak that helps give us better upper level support. So what this is pointing to is that getting into late in the day on Friday and then early in the morning on Saturday, parts of the mid-Atlantic getting down to the Carolinas and back over to the Appalachian Mountains, we're going to be watching for quite a bit of heavy rainfall. Look at that moving through Virginia and West Virginia and the Carolinas. Now, what is going to be very challenging is picking out where this low will be by the time we get into the day on Saturday, because as of 6 a.m., you see the snow already taking shape on the back side of this, and that's going to be a tough thing to find. Now, I think the best way to look for it is going to be watching the upper level 500 millibar vorticity pattern. Again, a quick review of this. We watch for where the highest vorticity regions here, denoted by the colors, are moving. Out ahead of them is where you tend to get the best upper level motion. So let me play this and show you what I'm talking about. You see, once we get into the day on Friday, here's our wave that was producing the snow over Oklahoma, Texas, and Kansas. There's a wave to the north of it. You can actually see it there. And this wave is going to kick this sharper short wave out ahead of it. Watch now, though. See them? There's two separate pieces. One here going through the Carolinas. That's the rain I told you about on Friday. And here's kind of the back system that's going to kick this one out. So as we go into the day on Saturday, you see that the best upper level support, let's just stop this Saturday morning, is going to be where this piece right here, this is just where we have a lot of cyclonic vorticity, is going to advect or move right here over the Long Island, going up toward Connecticut and into Massachusetts. And that will be where the best low pressure development will take place. The wave on the backside is bringing in the colder weather. Now, before I go much beyond this, you do notice we have an upper level low here. There's one that's over parts of Idaho as well. And then there's this one, which I told you to watch out for too. And the reason why is because as this lead system wraps up in the northeast and produces a snowstorm, we do see on the backside this feature in Texas. I'll talk about it in a moment. And then look at this. See this ribbon of vorticity here on Sunday morning? It dives straight to the south over Minnesota Sunday afternoon, and then cuts through right here into parts of Illinois and Missouri. And I want to show you what the effect is going to be on the snow here. Meanwhile, look at what came in over here in California. That is going to move off the shore, offshore. See it sinking way down here. And this is part of a signal of a pattern change that's going to happen after the 8th, 9th, and 10th of the month. Okay, all of that, let's now pull it into the operational European. Ready? We've seen up till this point in the other models. Let's now go through the day on Saturday. You see the models are producing the low offshore and then taking it, look at this, right here over Rhode Island and Massachusetts. So at this point, the rain-snow boundary in the model is here. Now that's different from what I showed you yesterday. This is about another 80 miles to the east over where the low was going to be yesterday. Now behind this, okay, let's watch what we got to see. So this is the first system. There will be some lake effect snow, and that system heads on off to the north and east and really dumps quite a bit of snow here. The wave that's moving through Texas, well, it doesn't have a lot of moisture to work with, so things are relatively dry here. But you remember that little shortwave I talked about coming south on Sunday? Look at the snow showers it's producing in Minnesota, Wisconsin. And then that dips farther south into parts of Illinois, and maybe by early Monday morning down in southern Illinois and Missouri. So I just wanted to show you that don't be surprised if we get this north-south trajectory on some precipitation at the end of the weekend. But after that, things are relatively quiet throughout much of next week across North America. There's some snow here in Canada, but other than that, I just took you out to next Thursday, going into next Friday. By the time that wave that comes off of California finally gets over here into the southeast by like the 10th and 11th, or excuse me, the southwest, that's when things finally start to break down and change. So your next week's worth of total precipitation, this is today. So after that, look at this large area in through here where we're not expecting much of anything. I should have extended that over to California as well. Very dry conditions. And this is just our system that's heading up here over the weekend. Now, if we look at that and then add over the top of it soil moisture, this is just a good reference map to know where things are quite dry. So in some of those areas I just showed you that are not getting much precipitation in the next 7 days, we do have pockets in there with soil moisture values that are below 5%. And so this is just another view on drought as we wait for the latest drought monitor to be released later on today on Thursday. How much additional snow? Well, of course, the big show is going to be here in the northeast. And that boundary right now sitting right here on the rain snow. You get to the west of that, we're talking about the potential for 8 to maybe some locations upwards of 8 inches to a foot of snow. Behind that, there might be some snow here. And this is the system today, okay? But out west, this is really not very good to see this time of year. From there, let's talk about where the pattern ends up by the time we get to mid-month. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit excited about this. So the jet stream is wanting to do something like that in the European. And the development of these troughs here, by the time we get to day 10, so out on the 13th, would signal a much more active pattern. I'll just kind of draw an arrow over it, I think, in this area. And we can see that in the week 2. While we're still dry along the west coast, it appears that right in through this region we could expect to see a more active storm track. And you notice that we've now got white shading in there, which would say near normal precipitation. I even think that this is biased a bit too dry given this particular setup. So we could be looking at an active mid-month time period here. Okay, so to understand this temperature pattern as we move forward, we're going to start here at the stratosphere and look at the polar vortex. Over here on the left is where the polar vortex is currently sitting, and there's very strong winds here, zonal winds around it now, which gives us, again, a stronger polar vortex. By the time we get out to day 10, I'm expecting a bit of a shift. In other words, it's going to go from here to be oriented much closer to this side over here by Europe and Greenland. You can see it there. But to get to that point, watch what it has to do. It's going to split a bit here, but then kind of regain composure here. And my point behind showing you this is that while this looks to be a bit of a disruption in the vortex, I don't see it really connecting through the depth of the troposphere, giving us any sort of a major change overall in the temperature patterns. In other words, it's not a disruption that I think is going to be noteworthy. We're going to watch later in the month of December and getting into January and February for that. So from there, let's just step down in the atmosphere and take a look here at soil temperatures this morning. So this was at 7 a.m. Central Time, and the color shading really breaks there at the freezing mark. Now, one of the things I'm going to be interested in watching is what happens to the soil temperatures here over the next week or so. Because as you saw, the pattern is going to go highly amplified in the west. Take a look at the max temperatures today. It's interesting. The color shading shows you the departure from normal, but all the way from Texas, clear up here to the northern plains, the maximum high temperatures today are actually all within a very small range. It's just much warmer than average for the north and much colder than average for the south. Well, where are these temperatures going and how are they changing? Let's play it forward. This is now getting into Friday, maintaining the warmth there in the northern plains. This is Saturday's temperatures, 50s here for this time of year. This is going to feel very, very warm. Going from Saturday now into Sunday and on into Monday and Tuesday. Do you notice we just continue to see the same pattern? The bias cold is down here in the southeast. Very warm conditions here in the north central plains for this time of year. And that's what happens when that jet stream splits and breaks off into a big ridge over parts of Canada. Looking out now, today's 5 through 10, the model continues to see that pattern. Look at this, both the GFS ensemble and the European ensemble keeping the warmth there with the cooler weather still fading here down over the southeast. But as we've been discussing, the pattern change seems to happen after maybe the 8th, 9th, 10th. And once we get out past that point, the models have really backed off on the broad scale warmth. And one of the reasons for that is this. Here's the GFS all the way out here to the 16th, and here's the European. And what we tend to see here is a trough anchored somewhere in this area, bringing in that cooler weather farther to the south and east, breaking that pattern down, which we've been seeing. What I will be watching for later in the month is going to be ridging here between Scandinavia and the Ural Mountains, and also how that possibly reflects over here on the Aleutian Islands. That's going to be the major topic of discussion for a lot of us going into the third week of the month. From there, one thing to note on the position of the jet stream. This is the flow. See it? There is no strong subtropical component. In fact, La Nina is dominating the robbing of the momentum in that area. And I think that's going to continue to be the setup as we move into the middle of the month. From there, let's finish this up with a quick discussion of the tropics. The ECMWF's forecast here of the MJO is to keep it very weakly in phase 4 and 5. By the time we get out to the 10 to 15 day time period, we're going to have our best rising motion here. We've now seen the models kind of spread the sinking motion, not only here over this part of the Pacific, but now started to kind of ruin it here over parts of South America as well. And we can see that while we are anticipating over this next week inside of that kind of corridor just highlighted there, much better rains than what we have been seeing. Okay, maybe a closer return toward normal. We do notice as we get out into week 2, the models continue to try to keep the northern edge of that over on the drier side of things. So Mato Grosso do Sul, getting over to like Paraná, in that region, better rainfall as we get into week 2. But just a note, pretty dry next week here over parts of Argentina after some heavy rains in northern Argentina. What I want to finish with is showing you the extended MJO. We notice that it tries to move over here weekly into phase 5 and 6 and really avoids this side of the graph. And because of that, as we look out to that week from the 18th to the 25th, the models continue to paint this part of Brazil dry. And I think that's just something we better keep a close eye on for this section of the world, given that they're right in the heart of their growing season. So we'll keep an eye on it and report back to you, all right? I appreciate your attention this week. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you again very soon. Thanks.